Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boss Talks, episode 98. We have a great guest today, Tiana Heath. She is with, the National Apartment Association. She's newly with them, 4 months in as the Senior Manager of Industry Relations. She jumped right in right before the Super Bowl of apartments, Apartmentalize, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about regarding that alone. But super excited to have her because the topics she has really stem from the idea of not only getting involved in your association, which she has from the grandest scale by being employed by NAA now, but before that was just getting involved on a local level and making sure her voice was heard, but also she was being the change she wanted to see and really emulating that from the outset. And I'm sure that took learnings and things like that, but it's going to be great to hear from her as to how she got to where she is now and maybe learnings along the way. So it'll be awesome to hear all that from Tiana. But today, it's going to be a great day. I'm your host, Evan Happel, and I'm with Community Boss. We have a great solution for you when it comes to managing your parking, amenities, and mapping. It's all based in software, but it makes it a great experience for your residents. So if you have any needs in regarding to that, maybe generating some revenue, making it a better experience for your residents, make sure to reach out to me and we'll talk about it. But today it's about Tiana, so let's bring her to the show.
Hello.
Tiana, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited.
Absolutely. Yes. Thanks for being here. And like I said, you are 4 months in at the National Apartment Association. And I don't think I said it, but 17 years in the industry. And you jumped right in right before Apartmentalize. What was that like?
Wow. So it was a complete whirlwind. And I just have to give the biggest shout out to James Swartz, my manager, because he 100% led the way. He's like, okay, so we're going to do this and we're going to do this and you're going to do this and then you're going to be fine. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is big stuff. I went from being a volunteer to now leading a group of volunteers, and the support was just unmatched. So thank goodness we made it through. All was good.
Yes, that's great. So what was your role at Apartmentalize, and kind of what is your role in general? Maybe help
Yeah.
people understand what you're doing for NAA.
No, that is such a great question. I won't lie, I had the same one when I got here. I read the job description and it said industry. I'm like, yes, check. Relations, yep, got that. Let's do this, and that's exactly what I've done. In all honesty, the two big things that I do is make sure that our member volunteers are heard and their visions are brought to life through their volunteer hours and work, which is so very rewarding because, as I mentioned, I was one of those volunteers and I loved seeing that work being accomplished. So helping them do it is so fulfilling. And then the other wonderful thing I get to do is work with NAAEI on the education side, which is something that is near and dear to my heart as a previous learning and development manager. And just absolutely love that moment when people get it, when the light bulb turns on and they finally get that thing that might have been eluding them. So, helping with, I just got done filming something called Industry Essentials that will be on Visto, which will be wonderful, and industry trends as well. And so, it's helping those types of projects and just doing anything I can to support NAA.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing about that. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of you as you record more of these videos and things. Are they going to become kind of public videos or all kind of in the Vista? Is it Vista?
Visto.
Visto
Yeah.
platform.
Actually, I will be hosting some webinars,
Okay.
and I will be on a couple other podcasts. So you will see me out and about, definitely.
Awesome. Well, cool. That's great. Well, I look forward to seeing all the content that you're about to put out there for all of us to take in. So that's awesome. All right. So before we get into any more, though, I have a few questions. One of which being, when it comes to building community, what is your way in doing that in your personal life?
So being the new girl in the office, and it had been a very long time since I had come to an office on a regular basis, it really just starts with, hello, I love that outfit, or, just very simple entries. And finding commonality with people
Mm,
is so often the way to get it started. And it doesn't always work. And sometimes people are busy. And heck, sometimes you're busy. But I love just taking a minute. And I'm proud to report I have some great people that I work with. And I've met some great people inside other departments that now I get to work with.
yeah. Well, that's good. And I know you are in the midst of building a new community because you moved from Kansas City to DC, which, as you shared before getting on the show, has been, I mean, it's always a shock, when you move to a new place, you're starting fresh. But going Midwest to a more, not that you weren't in a urban environment in Kansas City necessarily, but you definitely are jumping in feet first into DC, which is, as you said, hard to get into the suburbs.
Very much so. All urban all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And fun fact, you grew up more in the country, so to speak, a little outside the city.
Absolutely. 30 minutes outside of Kansas City. If you know Berry Road or north of the river, you know. And yes, it was much more rural than probably people think about when they hear Kansas City. But it was just so very charming, and I love returning back. I was just back this weekend, and I just love to see kind of the sprawling hills and just the room and the air. It's the things that you take for granted when you're there, but then when you go travel other places, you're like, oh, there's not just rolling hills and trees. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best in building that community in DC, and as you get more rooted there, that you'll get that community.
Oh yeah, I'm well on my way.
That's good. All right. And the next question, you at one time were on site, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. So pulling back from your memory banks, what is a story regarding parking that you may immediately think of? There's always got to be one.
Oh, buddy. Okay. So new construction, we were opening up two buildings. One building was kind of down in a valley ravine and had very limited parking. And then you kind of went up a winding road, and then you got the clubhouse and a little bit more parking. They tried to tell me that the people that lived in building 1 and 2 had to park up by the clubhouse and could not park in their actual parking lot. Um, of course, these are good sized buildings. They are already filled. I have residents on their way, and I have to literally tell them, so about parking. I made a concession about move-in day. You can straight move in with your like parking van, but after that, you had to park up here by the office. Oh, the moans, the groans, the torches. I saw it all. I heard every word. It was rather serious, but we just ended up throwing what I called after work parties in the clubhouse. So basically, I bribed them with food and wonderful cocktails and personality. Um, and we did that for 2 weeks straight. And then, thank goodness, on that third week, they let them start parking down below. But I was prepared for beer and whatever until whenever, until they could park down there. If you send
So,
people home happy, um, it
so
works.
what was the cause of that?
Oh, well, there was paving, there was striping, there was
Oh, okay,
sealing, there was, I mean, it was dirt. It was literal dirt.
got it. Okay. So it was just needing to get redone or finished.
Absolutely.
I see.
Finished.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would think that they would be somewhat understanding that they just can't physically park there, but
Mm-mm. When
no.
you are moving into a new construction property, you expect it to be complete, to be done.
Mm,
All the bugs worked out, everything perfect. It is new construction. What people don't know is it is new construction. It
mm.
is brand new. So, what can you do?
Well, and so often you're leasing up in stages, right? Like you have this building, it's done, lease it up. Now we're going to go on this one and finish it, but it's
Yep.
still definitely in construction.
Oh, the things. And mind you, that was my first lease up. So like I didn't know all the things. I still knew for the most part, like leasing an assistant manager, it was my second manager gig. I was so excited to have it, you know, and I just made my way through because that's what we do in multifamily.
Yep. Yeah. Got to do your best. Well, at least it was short lived and finally got done. Probably didn't feel
Absolutely.
short lived.
No, those are two very long weeks of my life. I will
Yeah.
not contend.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for sharing. And then finally, when it comes to caffeine,
Hmm.
how is it that you like to consume that
Oh
through
man.
through a drink of your choice?
Okay, so two. If I'm at Starbucks, which is typically when I'm traveling, because there's something about continuity in travel and Starbucks, white mocha. But if I'm
Okay.
at home, my favorite local coffee shop makes a white mocha with lavender, and it is just as nice as it sounds.
Okay. But you are a white mocha
Oh,
person.
yes, absolutely.
Now, is this a white chocolate mocha?
You got it.
Okay. All right. Nice. All right. Well, thanks for sharing. Yes, there is this. When you're traveling, you want to know what you're getting. If you're going to different coffee shops, it's going to be a crapshoot. And then what if it's gross? So,
And then I'm mad, and now I can't even start my day right. I
yeah,
cannot risk it.
yeah. No, that's true. Especially when you're spending like almost $10. I
Oh,
mean,
every time, because never travel anywhere cheap. Never
yeah,
happens.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks for sharing. All right.
Absolutely.
So, Tiana,
Hmm.
like we started to get into, you're now with NAA. You started your career in property management 17 years ago,
Yep.
and if you want to share a little bit of kind of your journey, how you got to where you are now, that would be really fun to hear.
Absolutely. So here's my 2-minute elevator speech.
All
No,
right.
just kidding. But no, I really did start 17 years ago as an apartment locator in the traditional sense. So people came to brick and mortar establishments to get printouts of the internet because it was just that new. And I would tell people where they should live and give them all the ins and outs. And I really enjoyed it. But once I understood that you could get on site and do kind of the same thing, but help people truly find like their home, I was
Mm,
hooked. And so I transitioned to on-site, and in 2009, I realized all the benefits that this could like actually be a career because I was in college.
okay.
And I was thinking I was going to be a teacher because that sounded like a good idea. But I got roped into the multifamily industry and really worked my way up. Um, all the positions on site. So, leasing agents, I see you. Assistant managers, I feel your pain. Collections is scary. Property managers, oh boy, I can't even imagine, especially since COVID. Um, but I found a company after several years that really gave me a real shot, and not only being a lease up manager, but a regional manager. And a regional startup manager, which was something that I literally pitched. I was like, I see a need, hear me out. And they did. And then saw
So,
my
so what?
love.
So what was that?
So, a regional startup manager was essentially we were opening up several new properties yearly. and we needed continuity amongst our brand. And they trusted me to bring those details to the community. So when you walked in, you knew that you were at that type of community. And we were nationwide. And it was one of the most exciting things that I have really ever done, because I got a chance to really see the United States, see different markets, form relationships with teams. It was a really cool time. And from there, they realized, hey, you actually train a lot too. So why don't we get you into training and development, which was such a covenant spot. And I got to influence 100 team members over the community portfolio nationwide and help them reach their career goals. And it really sparked something special within me, and it still influenced some of the things that now are my passion projects today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's cool that you were able to, I mean, even that they were allowing you to almost create a role that gave you those probably pretty unique experiences,
Extremely.
and then be able to travel, another really unique thing to do, and be able to see multiple markets and how we're different across this nation a little bit, and the different culture shifts you see from place to place.
Oh,
Is,
yeah.
is important to know, because especially now, like when you're working at NAA, you're representing the whole country, and we're not the same everywhere.
We are not. I mean, when I was a regional, I was the quote unquote Midwest regional, but I had Huntsville, Alabama, and Cranberry, Pennsylvania, and Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Des Moines, Iowa, and Chesterfield, Missouri. So, always had a love of just the United States, because we were Team USA. We were not the Midwest. And as my role changed and expanded, I had to spend time in Texas and Denver and Florida, and just in Indiana, and just really great places that were very different from where I grew up and where I lived, but also really similar too. So,
Yeah, we have differences but similarities, right? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw, there's a few people on, they've made some comments. Vanessa, she's just chiming in with a, she knows you, so
Hey.
speaking to the fact that you grew up in the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
and then we have a couple questions actually, and I think this is a good time to hit those up. One of it, which coming from Tamara. Do you know Tamara?
I do.
Okay. So she just wants to know from you, over the last year, what have you learned about yourself that has shaped you to be the amazing woman you are today?
Oh, Tamara, you don't understand. Tamara was the first African American regional that I saw. And I was like, this isn't a pipe dream. I might be able to do this. I always thought I could, but seeing it matters. So, thank you, ma'am. And what I've learned about myself over the last year is I am resilient. No matter what happens, no matter what life throws at you, because there were plenty of curveballs in that fun story I just gave. Um, with the people that I have around me and the people I've met over my journey, um, I really can get where I want to be. I will get there with my tribe, with my people, um, and I will be a better person for doing it.
Awesome. Yeah. Finding out you can make it through hard things is, it helps you in the next hard thing.
Absolutely, because you've been through what you consider the hardest thing,
Yeah.
and you're still here.
Right. You made it. You did it. Absolutely. All right. And then one more question. Elder, I'm not sure if you know Elder,
I don't,
but
but hello.
yeah, he has a question about, I guess, your time as a regional. What did you find most fulfilling about being a regional manager?
What was wonderful about being a regional manager is creating community within my regional managers. So there was typically about 5 of them at any given time, because at that time, new construction, so things are always popping up. And what I found over time was they would come together, they would think about whatever it was, and then they would nominate someone to come ask me about it. And over time, I realized they were doing that, and I was like, I'm wise to you. I see it. But I loved the way that they leaned on each other. Even though I was always there, I was always open. You could always get a hold of me. My tagline was, "I'm only a team's message away." It was
Mhm.
truly true. I love that they were creating their own thoughts and leaning on their little community. So it was really fulfilling watching that, and then also seeing them get promoted over the course of some years. Some of the managers that I worked with are now district managers. One of them went into corporate marketing. And just seeing them get where they want to go. It's like I remember you.
Yeah.
I remember when you interviewed with me, and I knew, yes, I got to do this. So very, very
Yeah.
fulfilling.
To be a part of their development and their story is always fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing. And then Elder had one more question
Hmm.
tying to your current role. So, how do you typically approach building and maintaining relationships with industry partners?
Ooh, that's a good one. Depending on the partner, if it's a vendor, I absolutely approach it with the same way that I did when I was on site or with as a regional. A lot of times I know them. I've used their product. I've demoed their product, something of that nature. So I have a commonality, and so then we can just kind of talk about it and how we can best partner and move forward. The same thing with the volunteers that I work with. I start out with, hey guys, I've been in your seat. I'm one of you guys. I understand the frustrations. I understand limited time, but I also know that you guys want to make the best effort. So let me help you do that. If it's scheduling a meeting, if it's sending a reminder, whatever it is, I'm truly here to help enhance how you help us because I know you want to, I know you believe in it, just like I did when I was in their position.
Right. And what ways, you keep bringing up volunteering. What are some ways people can volunteer that maybe they don't know?
Ooh, okay. Well, definitely at the national level, there's all sorts of things that you can do. We just launched a volunteering website where you can see all the different ways that you can get involved. You can get involved with networking or communication, volunteering to be on a committee. There's all different things that we need here at NAA, and we want to hear your voice. Right now, there is a huge survey out about the industry. There's actually 3 different renditions of it. We even have one in Spanish. Take the survey. And if you haven't received a survey, you haven't seen it, ask a colleague, ask a friend, ask your AE, get the survey because we need to hear your voice. We want to know what we can provide to make sure that we have a vibrant future. And I will definitely say also right now, committee applications are out. So hop online if you want to serve on one of the committees for the National Apartment Association. Applications will be open until September 1st. I would call out particular people, but they know who they are. I need to see those applications in. But no, come use your voice. We want to hear from you.
That's great. Yeah, I know. I just saw a few posts about the survey. I don't know if it's
Oh,
something
yeah,
to be publicly shared. If so, you could always put it in the comments of this post afterwards, and that way so people can click on
absolutely.
it. But
Industry professionals, all levels, come on.
does that include suppliers?
Now, not this time around if I'm mistaken, but if I am wrong, I will send it right to you.
Okay. Or maybe there should be a separate one, more pertinent to.
Look, we always want to hear from our membership. If this isn't your survey, I guarantee you your survey is coming, and I'll make sure
Okay,
you get it.
perfect. All right. Well, thanks for sharing about that. I know that's always good to get that feedback and making sure that the things that NAA is doing is serving the members well. So that's always important to hear from people.
Absolutely.
And don't just be a grumbler that says certain things aren't the way you want it to be. You got to speak up and say, hey, what about this? You know?
We want to hear it all.
Yeah. And be nice about it.
And that's always wonderful.
Yeah, you always hear people that are saying things, but they aren't doing anything, which I mean is a great segue to really one of the topics at hand, which is how to be the change you want to see. So, what is it that you've put into practice in your career to really emulate that and be about that?
So even just being a property manager, and not just a property manager, when I was a property manager, because there are some champions, and yes, much respect. But when I was in charge of my first small little team, I looked around and I wanted to make sure that there was representation. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I was just picking the best people for the job that were applying, but I wasn't discounting anything either. And so I met this great gentleman. We are still friends to this day. He is wonderful, and he's proud of who he is. Um, there was just a lot of diversity in that. And then as I moved up, I also wanted to make sure that that same type of diversity was represented across my region, and that we were representing the residents that we were serving.
Mm,
And that's something that I think I was able to do. And then when I left that environment, I wanted to make sure that I went into a new environment that embodied those same beliefs. And I must say that at NAA, we sure do, in beautiful and different ways. You never realize how much representation matters until you get to a place where you don't have to wonder, or where you see it.
mhm.
I will never forget, I was on a business trip. It was a couple years ago. I was in a car with several ladies that looked like me. We were singing along, having a great time. And I looked over to my counterpart and I said, I never in my career thought I would have a moment like this. I didn't know this was possible. So I guess just making sure that everyone has a seat at the table. I don't want them to have to bring a chair. I want to invite them because the chair should be there.
Mm,
And they always have a seat at my table.
that's good. Yeah, can you speak to like the differences between feeling comfortable versus feeling like you stand out, not in the way you want to?
Sometimes it can be very subtle. Sometimes you don't really even realize it. Um, as I mentioned previously, I grew up somewhere rural, and I realized I was different, and I realized that I stood out, but it wasn't in the blatant ways that are normally given to us or shown to us. It's more like an inherent feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through most of my life that way, being the only, being the first, being one of two or three. Um, and it wasn't until I really got older, looked around, and said, this is just really different. I'm experiencing things that are different. Um, where's my community to talk about those differences? And I'm lucky to say I found a community. I found a couple, but one that I must shout out and one that everyone needs to know is Militant and Multifamily. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, please reach out to me or Monica Frazier so you can know. Because that is a community that has helped me feel seen and heard at times where I just wasn't sure. Um, and they have been wonderful.
Yeah, and Monica, she grew up similarly in a more small town environment, kind of in the country.
Mhm.
She shared a little bit. I had her previously on,
Ah,
and she just talked about her experience in small town, Midwest, similar. Um, I forget, was she Kansas though? I don't remember 100% where she grew up, but it was definitely Midwest. but but yeah, yeah. Shout out to them. If you want to know more, I'm sure Tiana would love to tell you.
absolutely. And Monica was kind enough to put it in the chat. So
Yes, there it is. All right,
check them
Monica,
out.
thank you. And yeah, Midwest love. Oh, St. Louis. So she was, Missouri area.
Right down the way. Right down
Yeah,
the way.
yeah. So you guys were opposites of the state of Missouri, though, right? So you were,
Yes.
yes, yes. All right. Um, and just to highlight, James, I'm assuming a coworker.
James, my fearless leader.
Okay. He did put in the chat that the survey is live. Put the link there, and that suppliers can also fill it out.
Hey.
So
Coming in
make
and
sure you do.
clutch because that is the type of leader he is.
Yeah,
P.S.
that's good. Well, now you know.
There you have it.
4 months in, a lot to learn. I totally understand that.
Come on.
The whole country, I mean, that can't be much.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing about just that topic, because I know the idea of being the change, it can feel very alone if you don't have people to look up to. And but it sounds like in some situations you still found the I guess power within you to kind of push through that and get to where you are now. So it's, I mean, great, kudos to you that is true, but also glad to hear that the things that you're a part of and the things that you're doing are helping to make it more, I guess, diverse and showing more people with a seat at the table, so that more people can see there is something to work towards, because I see myself there.
Absolutely.
All right. And then next topic is just how to be seen and heard in professional workspaces. So how did you go about being seen and heard?
Ooh, that took a lot more effort. That took self reflection and really understanding not my intentions, but how I was being received and interpreted.
Mm,
And that can be very touchy for a whole lot of reasons. And so when I think about it and really looking back, I sought advice and guidance from people, not only that I professionally respected, but also just really appreciated their interpretation. And I think it's really easy to just hear all the negative, take it all in from all sources, and internalize it. And one of the things that I absolutely learned along the way is yeah, you might be able to do that for like a day or a night, but then you really have to sift through and say, but what is true? Is the person giving me this information someone that I respect? Do I respect how they move? Do I respect who they are? Because if not, why am I going to let them influence something just because they said so?
mm,
And so I have a tremendous tribe from Kansas City. made up mostly of either current or previous multifamily members, because if you do not have a multifamily friend, get one. This business is hard, it is difficult. Your other friends won't know what you're talking about. Your
Yeah.
spouse will think you're crazy. You can't make this stuff up, but get a multifamily member friend because you need it.
Yeah. So,
um,
who are some of those friends? Vanessa, I think, is one of them.
Definitely Vanessa, definitely Tamra, Christina Casebolt out in Parkville, Missouri, representing. Ashley Wise, although she left us and now she works for the city of Kansas City, and she is the real estate manager. So still very close, but she did many years of multifamily with us in Kansas City. And Kim Andrus, well, I'm sorry, Kim Taylor, because she's married. I knew her when she was Kim Andrus, but no, just people in various stages of multifamily of the industry that just still very much have that pulse. And let me not be remiss to say that Ms. Tamara Green is the VP of property management. And someone that I always look to, someone I will always ask that advice of, someone that lets me know you can get wherever you want to be if you're willing to put in the work and put in the effort. So, so many wonderful people. And those are the people that I go to when I really want to know the truth. And, the rest is the rest.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you had those people and have those people.
Oh,
And
yeah. Mhm.
I as you're now in a different market, but I'm sure they'll continue to be a part of your life. So that's great.
Oh, yeah. Just this weekend. Saw
Uh,
every last one of them.
oh, nice. That's awesome. All right. And then when it comes to really living this out and getting involved, I mean, you're now at the national level, but you were very active when it came to your local association in Kansas City. And that's probably how you got to where you are now. You saw that you can have an impact, you can get involved and be a volunteer even. What is it that you did at a local association level to get involved, and how would you recommend others do the same?
Absolutely. So, what I quickly realized as I was judging for different apartment association awards and getting out is the Association of Kansas City is special for a whole host of reasons, but mostly because the opportunities that they afford their members. If you show interest, if you keep at it, if you get involved, what you can get out of it is so much more than I could ever imagine. I know that's not the experience for everybody, but what I will say is try it, get in there, um, build those friends relationships, because funny enough, most of the people that I just named were people that I met through the apartment association, through things like Lyceum leadership, through, you know, volunteering on committees, um, through being on the board toward the end. It's just, you can do so much, you can learn so much, and it just really enhances all the different tools that you can put in your toolkit. So, for me personally, I loved advocacy. That was the committee that I was probably on the longest. I would attend during COVID over Zoom. It didn't matter what was going on. I wanted to know what was going on locally because I was seeing it on the news and I was seeing how it was affecting change in our markets and on our communities. From there, I got involved with the DI committee. Since being at the national level, I realized, that's pretty special too. That we have that committee and that support. And then also just being on the communications committee for them and seeing their social media and seeing the impact that they're making, whether it be calling out special days or recognizing things that maybe they weren't recognizing previously with special groups. So um, the local level has so much to offer, and it can really prepare you for the national stage. Um, and then once you get to a national stage, there's so many other things that you can be a part of. And what I didn't really realize is that our AE was bringing national programs local. And so when I got here, I knew what Lyceum was because I went through it on the local level.
Mm,
I understood our DEI committee because before I left, I was the chair of it. And all of those wonderful things that, you know, can start right at home and you can grow with, and there's somewhere to grow to.
that's great. And you mentioned being on the board. What was that like?
Yeah. Oh, being on the board was eye opening. It was truly interesting and gave me a better understanding of governance,
Mm,
which is now very important in my current role.
yeah.
um, Being on the board was being with one of the most diverse boards that Kansas City had ever seen. Um, and I'm so very proud of that. And just really working with other like minded individuals and really driving the results that you want to see. And so that's why I'm so passionate about leading the committee that I do, because I know what kind of progress and change that can be made when you get involved. Um, I've led the charge and I've done that, and I want to help others experience the same thing.
That's cool. Yeah, I've always looked at the board positions and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I have time for that. But I,
Once a month, make the commitment. It is absolutely worth it. And if you're in Kansas City, you get to chair different committees, which is really awesome. Having that is just so eye opening to like all the facets of what goes on. So it's
oh,
worth it. Do
so
it.
as a board member, you become a chair of a committee?
Yep.
Oh, interesting. I think
Yeah.
that's a little different than what we do here
I
in Washington.
know, yeah, every association is a little different in that regard. That was how we did it, and I really appreciated it um, because I was able to be a co-chair of the communications committee and see that, and then chair something that is a true treasure to myself and my heart. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I think that's a good idea though, because it helps board members hear directly from the committee members, like their feedback and what are they hearing, and so they can take it back to the board meetings and things like that. So
Mhm.
that makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you sharing about that, and I echo the getting involved at the association level. Advocacy is a new thing for me.
um,
Um, and I've gotten some good exposure here lately. I've had some good guests that have shared about their experiences, and even from our association, their job is to be in
mhm.
the things, in the weeds about politics and the government, and um, it is actually more interesting than I think I was allowing it to be. Um, because I think it's more of a daunting thing. Most people are like, "Oh, that's too much. I can't understand it." And I guess if you allow yourself to get exposed, then you're able to ask questions to better understand.
Absolutely. I want to say, bar none, and this is not a plug because I'm here, it's a plug because I used to sit on site and read Units magazine because that's what you do. But, our team does such a great job, not only in advocacy, but also making sure that you can get a 2-minute article and understand the issue that's going on. So, whenever something's going on, look at our website, look on our advocacy, find those articles that speak to the issue at hand because there are some really effective issues that are happening. And I love to see, truly walking down the hallway, I just saw someone that I very much admire this afternoon and had to stop her and be like, I love how you break it down. Just write your article. Love everything you're doing. Thank you. because that type of stuff matters. And especially in our industry, there are some big things going on, and we need to be informed. We need to know what's coming down the pipeline, and we need to come together and make our voices heard.
Yeah. Yeah. There
So don't
can't,
be intimidated. Just take
well,
just
and I
take a leap.
think what I would add to that is there's something for the supplier to know too, and
Hmm.
there is a lot that is decided in the political realm that
Hmm.
affects the management of communities, which then affects the supplier.
Absolutely.
So it's important for us to pay attention to that because, I mean, there's things going on around here that could get rid of complete, like total industries when it comes to suppliers. And it's like, well, that's a, like it's a big deal.
It truly is. All I can say is, even if you don't necessarily want to get involved, at least arm yourself with good resources so you know what's going on. It is important to be informed.
Absolutely. Well, I do appreciate you being here, and I love that there was some questions that people asked, and that we were able to showcase those as well. There's actually one more before we do go. The question is: with each new position that you took on, are there any lessons that you learned or areas you had to improve in for those roles?
Ooh, every last one. Every last one. So, what I find so interesting, like when I was a leasing agent, and moved into an assistant manager position. Luckily, I had my associate's degree to fall back on, which I had taken some accounting classes. But depending on what software you're using and what you're doing, reading ledgers and really understanding where the money is going in and out can be very interesting. And then having to explain it to a resident is even more interesting, or learning de-escalation skills as a manager so people aren't throwing chairs at you when you're ducking out of your office. you know there are so many things that you have to learn, whether it's business writing or writing from an association point of view. I'm not saying anything that's current. Yes, I am. And just all of those different nuances.
Hmm.
You know, one of the things I will say is it's okay if it's a challenge. It's okay if you only know 80% of the role that you're going into. If you knew 100% of it, that's not even the role for you. So
Right.
don't be surprised or intimidated or scared when you see a role and you know that you check off 80% of it, because you will learn that other gap. You will get there if you want it, and you have the drive, or if you have a mentor, or a network or a tribe that can help you through it. There have been a many a nights that I've called my friends and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make this budget work. This budget, the math is not mathing. I've been at it for three days straight. My eyes were cross-eyed. What am I going to do? And I've had this, I've had people like, hey, okay, so this is what we're going to do. Number one, get off the phone. Number two, breathe. Number three, step away for an hour
Yeah.
or a night, and then get back at it, because you know what you're doing and you got this. So just apply it, apply your skill.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just as simple as reminding yourself that you do know what you're doing. You're here for a reason. So just get to it. Stop being afraid of it. Jump in, jump over it. Um, there's a saying that my dad always said. I will always remember it. It's just one of those things ingrained in me, and it's find a way to win.
Nice. Find a
And
way to win.
sometimes that's just what you got to do.
Yeah.
Find a way to win, whether it's compromise, whether it's more education, whether it's getting those credentials, because they do mean something and you will learn something if you pursue them. Um, but just find that way.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing your motto, your little thing that you learned from your
Absolutely.
upbringing. That's
Oh, yeah.
definitely something to find a way to win and do it the right way, obviously. But
Oh, yes.
it's,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
but it's yes, it's true that we need to realize that you're in a role and that you have the ability, even though you may not know it completely, to
Mhm.
do well in that role as long as you put the effort in. So
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask for help. You
yeah,
know, don't be afraid to learn a new skill to get where you want to go.
yeah,
I've done it several times in several different ways, whether it's a regional chamber because I wanted a different type of leadership skill, whether it's IRM skill badge, whether it's, my caps. That was a whole roller coaster in a time that I needed it, and helped me learn the skills that I absolutely use still to this day. There's so many ways and forms of education out there, and there's so many different scholarships that will allow you to do it. So, yeah,
that's awesome. All right, well, so no excuses. Get after it, people. Make sure you do what you need to do to get to where you want to go. So it's but you got to know where you want to go first. Do that too.
it's helpful. It doesn't have to be concrete, but
Yeah,
you know, feel
at least where you think you
it
want to
out.
go, right?
I like it. I like it. I have to say, if someone asked me 6 months ago, "Will you be in DC at NAA?" I would have laughed at them wholeheartedly and meant it.
That's
So you
funny.
never know
So
where
this
your journey
happened.
will take
This
you.
happened pretty quickly then.
Oh yeah. So I was
Okay.
literally at a seminar and was going through the process, and I got the word and had kind of 2 weeks to get it together and get
Wow.
there. And it has been one of the best things I've ever done, the scariest, and a whole host of other words that go along with it. But I do not regret it a single moment, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be here.
That's great. Well, thanks. Thanks
Yeah.
for jumping in and taking a risk and taking on something new, even in a
Thank
new
you.
place.
Oh,
That's a whole other layer of, kind of scary, right? So it's it's great to do it though. It builds
yeah.
character, it helps you grow as a person. So that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Well, Tiana, thanks again so much for being here today, for being the boss this week. And I just appreciate you sharing your story and the things you've learned and all the things you're doing and gonna do at NAA. We're looking forward to seeing those webinars and the different things that you're going to produce and for the benefit of the membership. So we really appreciate you in regards to all that. And just like Tiana jumped into Boss Talks and took a risk another way, being live here on the internet, you too can. If you're a boss, I want you to be on here. I want you to share your story, what you're passionate about. And it doesn't matter if you're a leasing agent or the CEO of a company, you have an opportunity to be here on Boss Talks. So reach out to me and let's make it happen. I'd love to meet you. So till next week, it's been Boss Talks. I'll see you guys later.